So we're doing a panel on what are the favorite icons that the women in WiP usually have. So we called upon a bunch of people who are from different parts of the world. We have Moumita Kundu, who's right now based in New Jersey. Am I right? Supriya joining us from Mumbai. Charlotte joining us from UAE in Dubai. And Nanki joining us from London, UK. And that's me. My first thing is, what have you girls been up to? Where are you and what roles are you playing now?
Hi, ma'am. Thank you for this opportunity, first of all. Right now, I am working with JPMorgon as one of the product leads for commercial credit card. My journey has been totally into cards, and movement to this continent has been purely at a family reason, my husband being transferred. And yeah, I'm enjoying at this moment the kind of a work is done, which is at a global level, which I didn't have much of exposure earlier. So that's it from my side, from a professional side. Looking forward to create some of myself till it lasts.
We love your pictures in the WiP platform. Amazing exposure that you're giving to your children and family. Welcome for joining us. Supriya?
Yeah, hi, I'm Supriya Kamath. I'm a co-founder of my brand Anuradha, which is Anuradha because it's my mother's name. And this past year, I'm talking about my personal experience since we are talking about icons. So personally, I've been learning a lot of new skills. So I decided there are a lot of skills which I had not learned so many years, and I thought it's high time that now I'm 42, I have to learn all the skills which I did not learn before, and which includes swimming and cycling. And I'm so happy that I've been able to do that. So that's what I've been up to since January.
Fantastic. There is a famous dancer on the road. Charlotte, what have you been up to?
Oh, what an introduction. Supriya, in fact, thanks for giving me that prelude for my introduction, because I am Charlotte and I am the co-founder of Blah, 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 where we teach or rather train children from different parts of the world, age 7 to 17, on life skills. We work with them on life skills, help them to embrace life skills, to enhance their emotional intelligence. In fact, bridging the gap between what happens in school and what happens in real life. Apart from that, I've left my 18-year-old marketing career to start this new baby. I spend time at home with my two children, 12-year-old Gianna and 7-year-old Zidane, who keep inspiring me. I'm a sustainability advocate. I call myself a life embracer because I love to live in the moment, embracing each moment and simple joys of life. That's me.
And last week or a week before that, she recorded a dancing on the road on the middle of the night with her daughter, which I thought was an awesome reel.
Thank you so much.
More power to you. All right, Nanki.
Hi, everyone. Just so happy to be here with all these lovely women today. So my name is Nanki. I'm a co-founder of WiP. You might find me writing the Friday columns sometimes with Fridays with Gen Z, where I offer perspective on a lot of different Gen Z issues. I'm 25 years old. I am studying health informatics. I'm currently pursuing my PhD, which is quite the endeavor and perseverance on all fronts. Besides any kind of other professional work, I love sci-fi. I like being involved in politics and all social issues. So yes, I'm really looking forward to this discussion today.
Well, you guys have covered it all. I'm Mandeep, founder of WiP, and I'm so happy that we are covering all aspects. And my topic is so in the moment, that's what it is. I want to ask you, what does an icon mean to all of you? I mean, in terms of a personality, how do you see an icon? Anyone can start.
I'll go then. An icon for me is somebody who's an achiever in his or her own space. But more than that, an icon is a person who strives to bring about some change in society, voicing his or her opinion, and at the same time is not afraid to be vulnerable, is not afraid to be their real self in front of others. That inspires me, and that would be a person I look at as an icon.
I think that's good. Anyone wants to build on that definition?
Yeah, and also I feel who touches our life in some ways and inspires us. So I think that is also one kind of an icon we look towards and follow them and try to imbibe some good qualities what they have brought across.
Well said. Supriya, you were saying something.
Yeah, I think also an icon would be somebody now. I mean, at this stage of life, I feel I also would relate. I would consider somebody as an icon if I can relate to them in some way.
Yeah.
And that kind of makes me feel, okay, this is a person I need to look forward to because I relate to this person. So that would also be my criteria of selecting my icons.
We have had this discussion, I know, Supriya, the editorial, and I know we've been talking about a lot of women who we feel are inspiring this generation. Anyone wants to add anything? Nanki, do you have anything else to say?
So I came up with two different definitions, and I think that kind of builds on all the answers that have been given here. A society definition of an icon, we might collectively call an icon. And I think that is something what, Charlotte just said in her answer. The fact that, someone who's made massive strides in their field, someone who is vulnerable, is putting themselves out there, they are known, they have made, considerable change. I think that is an icon. And I feel like, how would we identify such a person? To me, I thought about this and I had a discussion with my friends, is if you can look at someone else who's not in your field of expertise and they can give you an icon in your field and say, this person is so well known. If someone beyond your field knows that person, like I don't play basketball, I'm going to say, Michael Jordan is still an icon. Kobe was an icon. I don't play basketball, but I know the fact that they have reached that status. And then I've come across a personal definition as well, which kind of also combines an idea of a role model and an icon, someone that I can relate to, someone I feel who has touched my life and personally influenced me in such a way. So I feel the definition of an icon is really broad and can be very personal.
Yes, that's right. So I don't know who are the people you follow, and if I know people in this age of social media, we are following lots of people at lots of points in time. So which are the ones which you are very passionate about, whether it is sports, whether it is entertainment, celebrities, politics, science, sustainability, climate change, whatever. So I want you to have a go at some of the names, and then what about them inspires you. So we are not following any general order. It's going to be a conversation as if it's happening in somebody's drawing room. And please feel to add on to each one and say, this is what I like about them and this is what I don't like. So that we don't tell people what time, what hour are we recording this, so that we get that energy back again. All right. So let's go. Who's going to start with their choice?
I can start. Personally speaking, at this moment, I try to uplift myself, might be, do a bit of, I follow a lot of makeup courses, or, just making myself a little more confident, few dresses which I try to follow. So in this space, I had been following a lady, Vinita Singh. She's one of the sharks in Shark Tank India right now.
Okay.
And her story has really inspired me, that from a background of IIT Madras, I'm Ahmedabad kind of educational background. Everybody normally goes into an MNC job and getting into a great fortune of creating a fortune of money. But she didn't choose that path, and she went through the entrepreneurship and created a mass, or might be focused on a cosmetic industry, which was dominated by the foreign players, even in India. So she created a product which is right now so popular among the younger generations. She has ensured that the price points are really such that a middle class people, or girls rather, can afford and purchase and do experiments on. Her journey has really inspired me, and how someone has gone out of their way to create something different. And now when I see that, I follow her a lot in LinkedIn and Instagram, and I see her stores are now opening up outside India. I think it's an example that we all go and buy a Mac or a Maybelline and Bobby Brown. These all things are like aspirational. We should be having those, but we don't go and buy a sugar cosmetic, which has few, really, really nice collections. Not boosting the products, what they have, but the journey, what she has till now. And even she talks sometimes about her journey, even Shark Tank India, I follow a lot. That has inspired me, and I feel one person who as this moment is one of the icons which I follow. It's
That
Vinita.
closely goes with Nykaa's founder, Falguni Nair.
Yes,
And so I know
yes.
she's a little older than me, our generation as such. But somebody who was a banker, and a lot of women start in corporate life and says that before I'm 50, I'm going to start something. And Nykaa just changed the thing. And I love the
Absolutely.
fact that her children have joined us. And here we used to talk about her husband all the time and how she came in
Wow.
and completely changed the landscape of India. And now you have everything going out of it. Anyone else
And
want to go?
And one thing I would like to add up, ma'am, I also look up to you a lot. I still remember many, many years ago on you on the stage, the dialogues. I mean, the way you are like you're a crowd puller. I mean, I don't know how many of here people have experienced it, but we as audience have experienced it. How you speak, how you make connection with the
Right.
crowd. I think that is something is God gifted in you, and we had so much look forward towards you, as you know, so one of the icons I definitely see as you too.
I'm very, as compared to the names.
It's not about I think but the impact what you have created among so many I mean, now that time we were young girls, now we are like grown up women.
We're
I
all
think
doing
it's
so well.
tremendous.
Yeah, it's lovely to see that. Come on, Charlotte is smiling there. She wants to start the outside journey. Yeah.
I wanted to take from what Moumita said. Moumita, I think was fortunate to meet Vinita Singh because
Wow.
she came to the UAE. I was invited to a women leader conference. There were 60 of us invited in the UAE, and she was one of the panelists then. And I think you're so right in having her as your icon, because what I loved seeing was what I saw her on screen when I watched Shark Tank is very similar to how she's in person. She exactly speaks the same way. She exactly goes and hugs people the same way. She's so human there. And your second icon, I hope the next time I'm in India, I get to meet her too. Mandeep, I'm looking forward to meeting you in person. So I've seen both your icons there. At
Same
least.
here, I definitely would like to meet her in person.
Yes. Since so I do get inspired by a lot of people. Because for the purpose of this panel discussion, since we are having calling them as icons, I take it from there. Otherwise, I usually get inspired by their qualities. So because you've spoken about someone from India, and I do have someone from India in mind, I'll leave that for later. I'll pick up mine from who's the ex-Prime Minister of New Zealand, Jacinda Ardern. Oh well, I just feel so good.
I was about to say that too.
Exactly. All right. Yes.
Yes, I look up to her. Not that I have followed her journey from the beginning, but after having her in power and after seeing her carrying that baby in the parliament, I was impressed to say the least. You know, and then I read up about her. I've seen how she's grown on an apple orchard, how she. Because of child poverty, she decided she wanted to get into politics. She gave up her fish and chips project at school to get into do small role in politics to interview the then leader. After that, she decided to take politics as a main project. After she even graduated her business and communications, I believe she came to New York, and then she couldn't leave out helping the needy or the homeless people. She went into a New York soup shop and served soup to the homeless and the needy. She's even come under Prime Minister, Tony Blair, and she's worked under there before becoming the international youth leader. But apart from all of that, in the second, she was elected in 2017. In 2019, I believe she had two catastrophes. The biggest, why am I not getting the word? The biggest
Mass
attack.
shooting?
Yeah.
Yes, the attack in those mosques when
Yes.
she used the terms, and her terms are so keen. She said, "They are us," and she was seen in that hijab hugging that lady. She was seen saying that these are us, taking that right. Empathy, humanity, and kindness have been her qualities, I believe, as a leader, which I'm inspired by. Even after that, when she in White Island, when they had the volcano she had to face. COVID, we all know about it, how she's gone through that, how she made that country the first country right through lockdown. And at that point, her motto again was be strong and be kind, which almost became the anthem of New Zealand. And last but not the least, I've actually saved this thing, which I want to read out when she left. And I think that was so impressive. I'll just read it
That was
out.
very impressive.
Yeah.
That's
That
right.
I hope I leave New Zealanders with the belief that you can be kind but strong, empathetic but decisive, optimistic but focused, and that you can be your own kind of leader, one who knows when it's time to go. And I'll pick a sentence that my husband always says: if somebody retires or leaves, the
Yes.
question should be why and not when. Why did that person leave and not when will that person leave? And that was so apt in her case. And they're the few of the qualities due to which I look up to her. I mean, I just see she's so personable that if I ever see her, like I would see you, Mandeep, I'm sure you would hug me. And I just feel that she would do the same. I
Yes.
think there's that relatability that Supriya mentioned. So she is one of my icons.
Yeah.
I'm just going to actually carry off from there,
Sure.
because Jacinda Ardern was actually my top person that I was about to mention. I think as a political leader and as a world leader, she was known, world round. I think when she came into office, one of the things that was incredibly inspiring, especially after the kind of women leaders that we had seen, she said that there's nothing wrong to be empathetic. It is not wrong to be emotional. Because still then, the kind of women leaders we were seeing to a lot extent, they were kind of embodying male, personality traits. So in a way to come off as strong, a kind of misguided interpretation as to what strong means, which I feel for my generation is really important so that we can see truly what female strength can look like. And I think, Charlotte, what you just mentioned with the mass shooting, with the volcanoes, with COVID, she's really showed that empathetic side that you can actually lead by being kind and actually make, substantial change. And again, just touching upon her, her resignation and her decision to step down, I think a lot of the headlines were, can women truly have it all? And that kind of bothered me when I thought about it, because when I read the thing, it was her decision. She wanted to step down. It was in her right. And why can't women have it all? She showed the fact that women can have it all. She had her kid. She took a country through a very difficult period of time. And then she said, no, here's where I'm putting my boundary and I'm defining that this is the time, I'm making the decision for myself and my family. This is where I step down. And I thought that was an incredibly powerful message to give the youth of today, to send all over the world, but especially, I think it made quite the impression on me. She was very decisive. She stood her ground. And I don't think throughout her entire career, I'm very wary of politicians. She might be one of the only people I can say that has stayed true to herself. She stayed true to her message. So yeah, Jacinda Ardern, for sure, I'd say that she's quite the icon. I actually have another one to contribute, also from New Zealand, who is Simran Kaur. I don't know if you have come across Girls That Invest. So Simran Kaur is an Indian, but born in New Zealand, and she has started a podcast with her friend to empower women to gain financial literacy. And she started a book to get into girls, to get them to invest so that they can become financially independent. She had a very supportive family, but knew of other cases within India, within Indian families in New Zealand, how women can be really bound to certain toxic relationships and toxic family cultures simply because they don't have the power to leave. And that no matter what we say that, love is the most important thing, but unfortunately, money does make the world go around. And I like the fact that, she's only 26 years old, 27 years old, and she really put that message out there. She used Instagram, she used Spotify, she started her podcast, and now she's actually in London at the moment. She's speaking at the House of Commons to ensure that more women can get access to financial literacy. And I just think that is such an important topic in this day and age, and it's always going to be relevant. And for me, that makes an icon, the timelessness of a topic.
Yes.
If you're standing behind an issue, I think that defines an icon. On a slightly more chiller note, I'd like to touch on something Moumita said earlier in terms of makeup. I think the way we look, the way we portray ourselves, it's so important. And mom and I actually, mom taught me this when growing up. She calls it war paint. It's not makeup, war paint. It's what you're going into. It's what the face you're showing the world when you go into an important situation. And there's this French makeup artist who's currently the head of Guerlain Makeup. And for that, she was the designer for Estee Lauder. She's had very humble upbringings in poverty. She's worked her way up. She's not a Nepo baby in any way. And I think she, more than anything, practices what we in WiP talk about a lot, self-love. improving those small flaws you have, but not erasing it and trying to make someone, something new. And which is a very French thing. She always talks about her French culture. And I like the fact when women, Indian women, any women, stay true to their beliefs. I love her advocacy of French culture and her beliefs that stay consistent. So I'd say those are my 3 icons.
All right. I think we're like talking about so many people who are making so many changes into all our lives, and also for betterment and uplifting women wherever they're going. And I think that really is an icon for me. Supriya, you saying something?
Yeah, so I completely agree with Charlotte and Nanki as far as Jacinta goes. What touched me about what Jacinta did is, stepping down is extremely difficult. Saying that I will not do it now for whatever reasons that you're saying. It's extremely raw thing that you can do, extremely vulnerable. You're putting yourself out there and actually kind of, allowing others to kind of criticize you, and to do that in that forum and at that scale when you are a part of a country and you're in a very responsible position. Just that doing that was, I think, something which touched many women. Like, it was like it suddenly struck you as how amazing it is that you can do that, or rather how amazing, if she can do that, I can do that too. Why do I have to kind of not do that? If so, a lot of women keep thinking, nay, I can't do this because of this, and I can't do this because of this. If a lady who is leading a country can do this, all of us can.
And mind you, she'll continue to work for the community forever. But it's just that position of power to step down from it and say, and I love the way she told her partner that let's get married. And then, there's so many things that you put it on a hold because you're running a country. And that's so true. So I think well said. But you are one of the proponents of body image, I know, Supriya.
Yes,
and the fact that we talked about Samira Reddy, we talked about women who are like coming out now and saying that, that's okay. I've had a baby. I've been in postpartum depression. Talk about it. So we have not been touching celebrity things on movie stars, but a lot of them in the recent past have been standing for causes. Whether it is depression, you have Deepika, and then you had Shaheen, Alia's sister, who talked about that. And then a whole lot of people came out. In fact, I was reading about the DBS CEO, Piyush Gupta, and I was surprised for the first time that he said that when I left Citibank, I started something on my own. And then he said it didn't work out and I was in depression. I think this is the first time somebody comes out and says that. He often says it didn't work. He used to say that before. But I think it's nice that people are getting a little bit more honest about admitting things with their mental health issues, which they have been through. And I love the fact that Neha Dhupia is one of the proponents of not just body image in terms of, but also breastfeeding. And she is gone, and Lisa Hayden is gone. A lot of women who've gone ahead and talked about things openly, which were things that people would talk behind the curtains and say, what are women up to? A lot of the younger girls, Navya Naveli in her podcast, other people are talking about periods. The fact is that they need to understand that these terms on gaslighting and microaggressions or things like that are not things which are hush-hush. And a lot of the seniors in certain cultures are not open to it. Anyway.
So my icon I would like to share has always been Indira Gandhi. Okay? Not really wanting to say, I'm not talking about her political party. I'm not talking about any political party, but the lady was an image of strength and womanly strength. And she was, in every decision that she took, she did not falter in whatever decision she took for the country, wrong, right? She did not falter in it, even with the kind of pressures that she found. And it was predominantly a male-dominated cabinet, male-dominated system. At that point of time, our country was in a different sense. It was not what it is today. Today, women do have a certain amount of respect. And I'm sure at that point of time, she would have faced a lot of backlash, or, kind of that you have come from privileged background, hence your dad. But that lady, whether she spoke, what decision she took, every forum, I think there was a very classic interview which I liked of hers, which was taken by a very leading London newspaper or a TV channel, and he deliberately over and over again tried to put her down about a lot of things which she stood strongly for, and the kind of responses which she
She
gave,
was very witty. She
unwavering,
was very witty in her responses.
very
Yes.
witty, very clear, very crisp, and also you will not take that lightly. It's like, okay, see, I mean, this is what I mean. You can't put me down in a conversation, even if it's snidely and stuff. And it was very nice. So in everything that she stood for strength of a woman, if the woman wants to be strong. So I really like that. Like the way she carried herself, what clothes she wore, her sarees. She looked extremely crisp, and irrespective of where she was, she looked nice and crisp. She carried the Indian image all over the world. She wore a sari everywhere. And I think, and she was like, I'm wearing a sari.
This brings me to the point that people that you're talking about, it has become politically incorrect to name some of those people because people go with the administration which is ruling, things like that. I feel that at some point in time, some of these figures were iconic. We grew up to say the first Prime Minister of India was so and so. We grew up with the fact that she was crazy about wildlife. We grew up with the fact that the first Indian to go to space, she was interviewing them, and we were young kids looking at that interview and how it would go. That was nice. It's like you knew Aruna Roy, okay, civil servant, but the person who fought for right for information, fought for corruption, everything else, she's still there. Ila Bhatt, who was started the Seva in India and did a lot of work for that, she passed away last year. You had Medha Patkar, who did Narmada Bachao, but now also again one of the women who people won't talk about because she's considered a communist or she crossed a line somewhere. It's like we used to talk about so many corporate women. Naina Lal Kidwai, the first woman who went to Harvard, and now okay, she's retired. We still talk about Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw in a much thing because she is the biocon. So we are often talking about people, but Chanda Kochar, again, it is not politically right for people to say that, but she was an icon, right? But a lot of women who are on their own, created their own identity and they run things, that touches me. The fact that they have chosen to step out, to do conservation, to do climate change, to do so much for the thing.
And I think a key facet of this conversation that we need to keep in mind is that a lot of these people did not set out to become icons. Sometimes that icon status, that celebrity status can get thrust upon them.
Yeah.
And power, I am one of those people that does believe that power is something that can corrupt. When you have those kinds of resources and you have that kind of influence to that level, I suppose it is a part of human nature that, that sometimes it can influence your behavior. I think some of those things are bound to change. Sometimes it can just be because of the kind of crowd you're now hanging on with. I think, Mom, you touched on a really good point that, it's important that we still acknowledge the work. I think moving forward, it's important to understand that that they should be taken as like maybe a story and caution, that, this person did this, but we need to be careful. It's like any of the fairy tales. This was a great person until they did da 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 da. But that should not discredit the work that they have done. Like when I was thinking about this, Greta Thunberg, she's very young. She's so much younger. And I feel especially in this day and age, where when you try to stand for a cause, I don't think when she was 13, 14, she got behind this to become a celebrity, but now she is the face of climate change. She is speaking at every World Forum. I don't think that was the intention. That was maybe the goal to start with. But
or
now
Malala for that matter, right? Or for Malala for that matter.
Exactly. They are now the icons behind this, behind their movements. And that is great because I think every movement needs a face. But I think when we make anybody an icon, we sometimes cross that line when we go from idolizing them, we somehow forget that they're human. And I think mistakes society makes over and over again. And
exactly the time like Indira Gandhi, we talk about the emergency and then we say, let's not remember that part of the woman. But if you ask any children, they ought to know that who was the first prime minister was a woman. This brings me to a really cute joke. When Nanki was small, I don't think they knew who was Indira Gandhi. The regimes had changed many times over. This girl is a Gen Z. So they asked her, who's Indira Gandhi? Please.
I was very little.
I know you're embarrassed by the answer. Guess what Nanki said? She's saying it's Indira Gandhi International Airport.
Oh.
because the only time that she had read the name Indira Gandhi was in the airport's name. So she says it was in Indira Gandhi International Airport. So I wonder whether she gave you any marks for that. But we had such a laugh about that at home that actually with every administration and regime change, the history books change sometimes, and children will not know that there were women who have. So there is a wonderful writer who I read about all these, and I think Supriya, you sent me Sarojini Naidu's thing. That's when you remember the women who made a difference, because of which we in India are living on so many better things. So I think it's lovely to go in the past and see who are the women who were in politics and who were in entertainment who made a difference.
So, I mean, I was wanting to talk about icons who are completely different from politics, maybe. So, if you know about Frida Kahlo, if you've heard of her.
Yeah.
So, if you read about her life, is full of controversies, but I find her extremely human. She survived her situation the way she was. She had a huge limp. So, while it was a very controversial thing, I love the way she carries herself. She was supposedly not very beautiful. She had a unibrow, but and that was not considered very attractive at that point of time in Mexico that she grew up. So she had this extremely different and eccentric way of dressing, which was really amazing because it brought out the artist in her. And that's the reason why people don't consider, might not really, she might not come across an icon. But I feel sometimes women just need to survive. And what I find very amazing about her life story is she survives, and she survives well. And today we remember her as probably at that point of time, age and stage, she was not well recognized, but today you do know who she is.
Because I picked up something. My next icon is from India, and she has some qualities which each of you all said. Like Supriya, you said somebody who wears a sari, who travels. Mandeep, you said that somebody who's done work and is known by their husbands but still holds their own standing. And Nanki, you said somebody who doesn't abuse power or the wealth that they had. And for me, my next icon is Sudha Murthy. She is an icon for me. She's timeless for me at the age of 70 plus, whatever she's. The thing that attracts me is that, by the way, she gave the initial installment or the money required for Infosys to be what it is today. So she was the only engineer in her class. Apart from that, it also attracted me as voicing her opinion. When there was an ad in the newspapers in 1974, if I'm not wrong, Telco put an ad out for engineers and said only men. She was not so interested in the position, but she decided to write to the chairman then and say that, why this discrimination? She stood up against gender bias, and she was the first woman who was selected as an engineer in telco. And apart from that, obviously we have stories about her where somebody in the airplane said that, you can't go in business because of the way she's dressed. And she's like, don't judge a book by its cover. Somebody who's really stood up, somebody who's really making a change, built about 16,000 toilets because women don't have those, 2,300 schools in flood-prone areas, 7,000 libraries, you name it, poverty alleviation. I think she just lives her life or celebrates being a genuine human being flawlessly. Because I know they were trying to get her sound bites on that. But when Mr. Narayan Murthy was interviewed, he spoke a bit more. But when she was interviewed, I remember that clearly, which said, yes, he's doing well, and he's my son-in-law, and let's cut this right there. So somebody who just knows where to end it, knows what's required. I don't need to enter into that space. Oh, more power to somebody like that.
Yes, more power like that.
I would like to just ask something in this entire discussion that we're going through, because I think a theme that has also emerged in just the way we're talking about our icons and from a previous discussion. Do we judge women more harshly when they have any kind of fall from grace compared to men, do you think? So I feel that sometimes women's mistakes can get judged a lot harsher, especially in the history books. What do you all think?
Yeah, that's what we were talking about, so many women.
And that's what I say, and that's what I also practice in my organization. I say that everybody does something, but it's up to you to change. So if you ask me this question, I would say I don't, and I don't advocate it. And I start with that.
One example we can talk about is Indira Nooyi. I read one article about her that she became, when she became president and the board of directors of PepsiCo, she came home and it was late and she just parked the car and she wanted to, say the news to her mom. Her mom said, hang on, just
Bring
go
milk.
and get milk.
Yes.
So they say that how much of a successful you are when you are at home, you have to be a mother, daughter, daughter-in-law, and whatever. So there's a complete, I'll say, disparity over there that we normally we always think that, oh, I've become so successful, I will be treated similar way at home, but the balancing act has to be there.
One part is that all of us have brought about our own experiences to the stories of women like that. We read about them, but we also share about our stories. I mean, I'm putting down my story now. These days, I'm busy writing about that. And I want to share about how I brought up Nanki while being on that hot seat. And my thing is that if you're never hide the fact that this is my office side and this is my home side, they need to know what side do you have, and they need to play on the same team as you. I used to come back at late in the night. My baby used to sleep late because she used to be up during the day. I mean, sleep during the day because she wanted to play with mama. That's the only time mama had at 10:30 to play with it if you're keeping late hours. And she is always been a night baby, and I have spoiled her for that. But the good part was there would be flowers waiting for you and saying, thank you, mama, for working so late, but we are there for you. That cheers you up. The thing was that you learn your way because I wanted to maximize my time with her. I wanted to ask you one question, that how do you get your families excited about your icons? Are they aware of it? Do they know your passion for some of these things?
Well, at home, everybody knows I am so much into cosmetics and makeup. So my daughter now has joined me, which I feel so happy that there is someone else. I am not a mascara person, but I think over here the kids are so fascinated with mascara. So she will take some of mine and start applying, which I feel that at least there is something she's being part of me. So I'll say that as an example that my family is, part of some kind of an, and she knows who all I'm following. She knows few brands. So that can be, one of the examples I can quote over here.
How old is she?
She's 12.
Ah, that's so sweet. The preteen starts.
Yes.
Yes. Good, good. Does your husband know? Sherry knows what you're up to, Supriya?
Oh yeah, I mean, Sherry does, and he knows I'm quite strong-willed and staunch as far as whatever I think and I believe in. So even sometimes we agree and sometimes we agree to disagree in most cases, but it's okay because that's how it is. You don't need to be the same person, and you don't really need to really follow the same ideologies and all. I mean, I'm talking about even political views. We can have different views, so it's all acceptable.
That is our family motto also, but agreeing to disagree.
Totally.
On political views. Because everyone can have their own. Charlotte?
Yeah, I love what she said because in my house we're so different. So the motto is agree to disagree. Like even today, because you had the question icons, and we all have our different opinions. And I actually asked my husband, who would your icons be? He thought for a while, and he said that surprisingly, he said, if I had to really pick, probably I'd pick Indira Nooyi, I would pick Indira Gandhi or Mother Teresa, for the simple reason that they were brave to bring about a change in a male-dominated world and bring about a difference. He really respects women and men alike. So it was interesting to hear that viewpoint.
Yes, that's lovely.
I think in terms of family, I think mom and dad are definitely aware of my interests. I can't say that I'm the kind of person that swears by one icon. I don't think that's very much in my nature, but I think I do have respect and keep following and am aware of lots of people's different work. And I do like the fact that when I talk to mom and dad, it's a generational difference. We live in different countries. Have had different experiences growing up. They also challenge my viewpoints and I challenge their viewpoints as to why we define someone as an icon. And I think that discussion is healthy. That's important. I don't think that a lot of people see that as, I think we've all said that, that disagreement is healthy. Disagreement is good. You don't have to all be in the same boat at the same time.
I just want to say that there are a lot of women out there who are not icons. And we were talking about men and women and usually women icons today. And I thank them for bringing the change they are in society without being called the icons, but they're making a difference in everyday thing. Those are the women who steal my heart, because when I think that we are trying to do a little bit by our own community of just changing or enriching people's thoughts and trying to convey a little message, the whole team tries to work together about writing something, sharing something, that itself is a big step. So this is something that I would leave you thought with, that okay, you don't have to be a big icon, you have to be somebody you can relate to and see and be inspired by their work. And I just hope that this Women's Day, that is something that we remember, that all of those who are marginalized or who do not have better circumstances, we, whether they are our friends, whether they are colleagues, or any people we know who need help, let's try and help them. All right. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank
very
you
much.
all.
Thank